Hi, my name is Nicola Manos, and I'll be giving you a brief overview of the Cantel Apparel Management System. We'll be focusing on the PDM module, specifically developing prototypes. Okay, so we'll start off by going into the PDM module, and we'll click on the prototype. Okay, a prototype is basically, it's like a style, but it has not been confirmed for production yet. So in a season, we could start off with, say, perhaps a few hundred prototypes, but it only end up with maybe 100 styles. So right now, let me just click on this filter. We're in the search screen right now, so I'm just going to do a quick search, and this shows me all the prototypes in the system currently. We see we've got a bathing suit here, and that one has a few different revisions. And we also have a boxer, which also has this one has 4 revisions. The first 3 revisions we see on here, version 3, 2, and 1, those are for specific clients. So basically, if I click on version 3, I'd see a prototype, but with labeling specific to Walmart. This one has labeling specific to Giant Tiger. So the labeling is different, and therefore the costs can also technically be different, also because of the different labeling requirements. Okay, so in this little exercise, what we'll do is we'll actually generate a brand new prototype, and let's start off this by clicking on the white paper here. And so I'm just gonna click on new, and that just gives me the next sequential prototype number. Let me type in a name. We'll call this a lady's blouse. Okay, I can give it a longer description if I want to. I can assign gender, but let's pick the size range code. All you really need to do when you're creating a prototype, just to get the ball rolling, is just type in the fields that are in bold, and then you can go on later on at a different date and time and plug in the other fields. So let's start this by ladies blouse. We pick the size range code, and I can maybe give it a target wholesale price of, say, $25, because I want my people to know where we've got to come in on this. And template, it's a blouse, so I'm going to pick a template for a blouse. I mean, if I pick a template for example, a shirt, it'll bring in different components, because the shirt's got buttons and a pocket probably, but a blouse has different components than a shirt, so the template will look different. Pick the merchandising group, product division, let's call this part of our house brand line, and product class is the ladies blouse. This will affect the sales analysis later on. Production family, if I was actually producing it, manufacturing it, then I can give it a different production family, and it would bring in specific loading characteristics for the plant. But in this case, we're focusing on imports, so we'll just leave that blank. Let me hit the checkbox right now. So what it did is it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It brought in the template for a blouse. Okay, so before we do anything, I'm going to just go ahead and give it a few colors. Let's do it in the combo pure white, and let's do this also in denim blue. Okay, so we got 2 different colors, checkbox here, and now we see our colors on the top. We've got our style. Okay, the next thing we want to do is let's assign some fabrics to this. I can go really quick and dirty and easy with the fabrics, just clicking on the 3 little dots and give it a description. So this is lining 20 GM, 20 grams, etc. Okay, supplier Nick. I don't have a code. I can go ahead, just type in a quick description, and that stays with the prototype. Or I can work on developing a database of fabrics, trims, and buttons, which makes things a lot more efficient and leaves less room for error. Let's take the database approach for this example. Okay, so I'm going to go in there and hit the spreadsheet view, and so I'm here with body. So it's asking, so what are we going to do with the body? So I actually know that my code for the body is CR100. So let's tap it in there, and it came from China Fabrics. And this one comes in two colors, this fabric. It comes in, okay, 1040 denim blue and the 1043, which is the pure white. Great. Now lining. Okay, so what are we going to do for the lining? I know the code for lining is 0127, or I could just type in part of the lining name, and it's going to give me a pop-up with all the different types of lining available in the system. So 0127. Okay, that populated the color because there was only one color available. So, but if I don't know the code, I can just simply type in BU for button, for example, and it's going to give me the buttons that it finds in the system. Okay, so I want to choose this one here, the BTN002. And for the blue, I want to choose let's choose the blue button. And for the pure white, I'm going to choose the cream. Okay, that's good. As far as the other components, I'm not going to go individually and plug everything in one by one, because what happens is, in this scenario, my blouses, they all have the same size label, they all have the same bags, hang tag, main label. So instead of typing it over and over again, what I've done is I've actually defined a trim kit that I can just import, and it will automatically populate all these fields for me. So let me just save the base. Okay, so we've got our little pictures, and we've got the picture of the button, the blue button, and the cream colored button. Okay, so now let's add the kit. All these are empty, so let's go to kit, and okay, I've got a trim kit for blouses. I also have trim kits for Bennery, Urban Outfitters, Walmart, and what those will do is bring in specific components for these retailers. For example, if I'm doing something for a Bennery, it might have a Bennery hang tag, so it would bring in that specific hang tag versus our private label, or sorry, our corporate hang tag. So let me just choose trim kit for blouses and check it off here. And so what it does is, you notice it's got a little green dot saying that these specific components came from a trim kit. So now if I go back into my spreadsheet view, everything's already populated for me. Okay, so let's get out of here and go back and close this window, save. Okay, but yes, let's say for example I do want to do this for a Bennery, so I've got this trim kit already loaded, but I want to replace specific items. For example, right now it's using a basic hang tag, and the main label says made in China. Okay, so let's go in there and choose a different trim kit and see what happens. Let's choose a Bennery right now as a trim kit and check it, box it here. So a few things happened. The hang tag changed now to the Bennery hang tag. The main label now says a Bennery label. The hanger also changed to a specific hanger, and it also added a new component called insert, because a Bennery requires an insert. Okay, so we've got the base already done. We need let's add a few photos to this prototype to complete this little prototype and picture, and we've got no pictures there. So let's go to my desktop and find the main picture for this prototype, and there it is, it's right there. Open, and great, perfect. Let's save it. Okay, we can also add a few sketches. So that's sketches, technical illustrations I'm going to add. Open and save that one, and I have another one I want to add too. And let's choose this one here. Open and save. Great. So now I've got two text sketches and the main photo that will be used for the style. Okay, so we're building the style quite well. And the next thing I'd like to do is I'd like to give it a grading. Okay, so what I'm going to do for the grading is I could start entering new points of measure, or I could use an existing grading for a similar style and then change the parts that are different. So I'm just going to go in there into the copy section, and I'm going to copy the grading for a style that I have, LM. Okay, LM0263, and it's got this style has a few different versions, so I can pick the version for a Bennery since I'm making it for a Bennery. checkbox here. Okay, so what it did was it brought in the grading rules for from style LM, etc. What it was, I forgot the name, and it brought them into this particular prototype that we're making, 102. So now I'm going to tell it the base size is medium, and so if I type in 24 tab, you see it automatically calculates the correct sizes, lengths, and measurements. Okay, so let's save this. Okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to schedule this now. There's a few things that have to happen. So if I go to the schedule, okay, so I'm going to copy a template. So it's going to be an import schedule. So let me bring it here. So basically that means is I'm importing it and I've got specific tasks that have to happen. If, for example, it was for Giant Tiger, I can say, for example, add the Giant Tiger template on here too. So not only is it an import, but it's also for Giant Tiger. So that means there's specific tests or, for example, specific operations that have to be completed because it's also being made for Giant Tiger. Like, for example, there might be a flammability test. Bang. There we go. So it brought in now all the tasks for this one item to be completed, starting from initial sketches with that one is a 2-day window, review style and details, 2-day window for that, and so on. 3-day window. This one's already assigned to Angelo. This one's assigned to myself. And then these are steps that will happen once we place a purchase order. Okay, so these are PDM stages and these are production stages once a purchase order has been placed. So first thing I need to do is I need to give it a date. When do I want this to be ready? So let's click on sample approval, and I want the sample approval to be ready by 12/24. Oh, okay, let's not be that bad. Let's make it a day before Christmas Eve. All right. So I want to schedule all the previous tasks based on this date. Checkbox. Okay, great. Whoa. So this basically tells me that I should have started this. If I want to get this done, I've got to start this the 4th of November. Well, right now with the 18th of November, so it's telling me I'm 8 days behind schedule. I haven't even begun this project. Okay, so there's a few things I can do now. Okay, so I see vendor to submit sample. Okay, so let's click on this one guy. I gave him 7 days to do that. Let me give him 2 days to do that. I know he can do it in 2 days. So let's click on 2 and reschedule the previous tasks based on this new date of 2 days. Okay, not bad. Now we're 3 days behind schedule. Okay, request for quotation. It takes 4 days to get all our vendors to quote us. I could get that done in 2 days. Let's change that to 2 days. Whatever. You can get that to us in 2 days. Now we're 1 day behind schedule. Okay. Request and spec definition. We can finish the specs off in 1 day instead of 3 days. So let's go in here. Angela's not going to like it too much, but I'll say 1 day for that and reschedule my previous tasks. Checkbox. And we're now we're ahead of schedule. Great, we have 1 day left to finish the initial sketches. They've got to be completed by the 19th of November. Okay, great. So, next and last step would be we've got our schedule, we've got our grading set up, we've got the spec all built out. Next thing to do would be to create a quotation and send this to our suppliers, and they in turn will send back quotes for how much they can make this item for. And then when we go into the costing window, let's start off to show you what the costing looks like. First, let's choose a formula. This import stuff from China, and let's choose the China formula. And what that does here is right now it's doing everything in US, but it grabs our first cost and adds a whole bunch of stuff on here. So let's give it a tentative first cost. Okay, of say $12.50 FOB from China. Accept this. Okay, so So what happens now is if my cost is $12.50, and then my import cost, then it's going to add something for ocean, duty, brokerage, and all these formulas, they change based on the category of style and the formula you choose up here. So if I want to make a 50% margin on this tab, I should be selling it at 33. Well, let's change that to 32.50. Gives me a 49% margin. Okay, and margin US. So what I want to do here, this lets me come up with different margins based on markup and retail prices. So for example, if the markup margin is say 30, and then markup 42%. So, and the margin here, I'll type in another 50%, 45. So it's a little bit of a calculator to give us a few different options when we're dealing with our customers. So at a 35% margin, let's do that, 50% margin. And they also want to make 50 in this, so that's 66.12, and so on. Okay, so as I was saying before, if this will also bring in customer discounts. So if we're selling it to Giant Tiger, for example, and I know they're going to ask for like a 2% cash receipt discount, then it'll take off the 2% from the selling price to give me a more accurate gross margin. Once I have the quotation mark up and running and I start receiving quotes from my suppliers, then I'll see multiple lines here, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. For example, if I've received 5 different quotes, and then I choose the quote that's more relevant, best for my scenario, and then it'll bring in the cost that I choose by saying used for costing. Great. And let's do one more thing now. Let's print it all. Okay, so the system creates a PDF file that can be emailed to your suppliers. Okay, so let me just go in there, and this all looks good, and do print Acrobat. And now it's going to grab all the pictures, the grading, everything we set up, and there he goes. It's already did it. And if I click on it now, and it will open it up, and I've got, there we go, our main page with our picture and all the info. I mean, we didn't fill things out. And let's scroll down, and this would have given us all the different suppliers that responded to this quotation. Of course, I didn't send the quote out, so this is only my import line. Okay. And here we have all the different components with nice little pictures next to them. The different fabrics for the different colorways. The lining is right there, played, and then we go with the different buttons. And let's go down here. We have the hanger, our binary label, and now we have the grading. That's the one I plugged in. And technical sketches, and that's it. All right, and let's see here. So the whole process, I mean, with explanations and everything, took approximately 18 minutes from start to finish. Thank you very much.